friends, and welcome to Run, Apply, Build. Welcome to this tutorial where you are going to, yes, you heard it right, you are going to develop a ChatGPT clone and you will be learning some components in Streamlit which are necessary for a chat application to be started with. And this will be, if you go ahead and ask a question to this ChatGPT clone, then it will be able to answer. And let's go ahead and ask, like, a Python code to calculate my age based on my, let's say, DOB. So it is giving you where it's working, and this you will be developing on your own from scratch, and you will be learning all the components which are used in Streamlit for a chat application. So stay tuned and follow along, guys, for the best learning experience from Learn, Apply, Build. So thank you so much and happy learning. Hello friends, and welcome to this amazing course where we are going to build a classic or a basic LLM chat application using Streamlit. And as you have gone through the introduction lecture, now let us begin with the chat elements. So the first chat element, as you can see on the screen, is the chat message element. Now to begin with, or to get a basic understanding of the chat message element, let us write some code and understand. So definitely this code will be in Streamlit, and let us now understand what goes into it to show the chat message. So let's just import Streamlit and as st, and now for the right, and now for the chat element, or the chat element that is a chat message, let's do this like with, let's say, with st dot chat underscore message, and now the message is basically sent by the user. Okay, so let's keep the user inside, and let's just write here anything, that is st dot write, and display that here. Now see what happens here, and what we do is we have a waving symbol or a waving smiley. So let's place that as well here. Okay, that's done. Now once we save this and we run this code, now to run the code we have the command that is, the command is streamlit run, and the file name, that is chat underscore message dot file. So once this gets like running, we can see that whatever code we had written, so if you had written a chat message, that chat message is being visible here, and the chat message with that is, it has a user icon also. So as you know, like when you chat, or even if it is a chat bot, if the bot is replying to you, you have your messages written in written under your section or your name, and the bot's messages with the bot's name. So now the assistant's message under the assistant's name with the assistant symbol, like let's say the symbol would be a bot. So now let us go ahead and change this code, or change this to an assistant. So here in the chat message, what I do is I keep it assistant, I change it to assistant, and I keep here as the message as hello there, hi there, or hello there, and then just let's save it. Now the beauty of the Streamlit app is that you don't have to rerun the app here. You just have to rerun it here on the portal, right? So when you rerun it, let's rerun it once, and you see now that when the message is coming from, or the chat message component has an assistant here, you see that the icon has changed from the user to an assistant, that is a bot, right? So this is inbuilt and this is there in Streamlit. Okay, so now that's the assistant and the user for you for as a chat elements. And that was for the first lecture, and see you guys in the second lecture. Happy learning. Hello friends, and welcome to this amazing course in developing an LLM chat application. So basically you would be developing a chatbot using LLM. But before that, let us go ahead and understand each and every elements which are going to be used or needed in developing, or what goes through in developing the chat application. So in the previous lecture, we had seen the chat message, that is a chat element, that chat underscore message. Now let's just continue it. And we had in that code, right, now the code was with a with statement, right? So now we will start writing the code but without the with statement, and we create an object called a message object. So let's just import, again importing Streamlit as st, okay. And now after this we have to import another library, which is import numpy as np, right? And after importing this library, let's just go ahead and create an object. So we create an object called the message and store the chat message element from the assistant. So if you must have guessed it right, we have a chat underscore message from the assistant, right? Okay. Now after this, we can directly use the message object which we have created and store the st.chat message here. So we can now use message dot write, and then whatever the message is, right? Hello there, human. Okay, so that's the message by the assistant. And now we can also call some different types of message which could be sent by the assistant, right? So we have here bar underscore chat, which is the again the object of like basic elements of Streamlit, I can say. And now what I do is I use numpy, that is np dot random dot rand n, and then here I pass some random numbers, let's say from 30 with a 3, right? So 30 and then comma 3, right? So here I have passed this, and now if I save this and if I go ahead and open the code which is already running, the app which is already running, and let's just rerun this, I'll be able to see that. I'll be able to see this hello there, human. Okay, let's just change the spelling here. It's hello. Let's just change it to hello, and yeah, again we'll be able to, yeah. So here, there's one more thing. Instead of rerunning it always, we can change into always rerun, right? Just clicking on this button, you just have to click this button once, and it will, whenever the codes are changed, it will always rerun for you, right? And these are the random numbers, right? So the as many as times you run it, these bars will keep on changing, right? And these bars are divided into 3, right? 1, 2, 3, and the numbers are 0 to 30, which you had mentioned earlier, right? So that's the chat message, okay. And so we have displayed a predefined message, right? As of now, we see that we have displayed a predefined message. Now in the next section, what we'll do is, like, if we want to display the messages based on the user input, let's say a user C. If you see the code here, the code says that the message is sent by an assistant and the message is also mentioned here. Now if I want to take an input from the user, then what do I do? So we will see that in the next lecture. Until then, thank you so much. Happy learning. Hello friends, and welcome to Learn, Apply, Build. And in this class we are going to see how to develop a chat application with the user input in mind. So we had seen earlier that the chat inputs which are there are basically standard, are basically fixed, right? But in this lecture we are going to see, like, if the chat input or a prompt is given by a user, then what will happen. And the UI, you will see that slowly the UI starts getting built as the ChatGPT which you daily use it, okay. And you guys, if you have not started using ChatGPT or generative AI tools, then do start using them. They are very, very, very helpful, and they increase your productivity to a certain extent. And you won't be believing, or you won't be imagining that how much fast you would be able to develop and you would be able to learn. So let's get started, and let's just copy and paste some of the imports. Let's say just one import which I have here. So I'll just paste it here, and now I'll start writing. So let's save something in the variable. Let's create a variable. Let's say we create a variable named prompt, and then prompt is equals to st dot, let's say we have a chat input. Now this input, that is a chat input, is a chat element for in Streamlit, which allows you to enter a prompt. So let's say hey there, and then it's how, hey there, and then we have a, let's say, exclamation, how may I help you, right? And so after this, let's say we have the if statement, that is if prompt, and let's just clear this out, or let's just quit this. It actually ran the Python, so let's just clear it out. Okay, we need some code here. Now if there is a prompt, let's say if there is a prompt, prompt, and if there is a prompt, sorry, if statement and I end with if the prompt is not a method or something. So if prompt, what we do is we write here something. So let's say we display st dot and then write. We can do anything here actually. Okay, st dot write, and then we have something like, let's say you have entered this prompt. Okay, so that prompt will be showing to the user, right? So let's say using the f syntax, we have you have sent the following prompt, right? And then displaying that prompt, right? So in curly brackets, and we just call the prompt variable. That's it. Let's just save it. It's saved, and then let's just run it now. So see, now the file name is different, right? So if the file name is different, you need to rerun it for once. And now we just change the name of the file and run it. So once it starts running, we would be able to see that in the window here. So let me just change the screen for you. Yeah, it's already running now. Let's see. So here, if you see 100 out. Yeah, see. Now we can see here that it is now started changing. The UI has now started getting to that prompt or the chat input or the chat app, like a field, right? So it looks like that. So let's just go ahead and let's just type something. Hello, welcome to, let's say, learn, apply, build, right? And okay, so if you see here, you have sent following prompt, and then hello, welcome to learn, apply, build. So you can see that this is a prompt here, right? But this was just a chat input. There was no message, or there was no chat message created here, right? There was no st.chat message. Had it been this was a st.chat message, we would get to see that it was sent by the assistant. So user sent this prompt, and the assistant also sent the same thing again. So that would be basically an echo bot. An echo bot is basically something which mirrors something which you input, right? So stay tuned for the next lecture, and we will be developing our first chatbot, which will be a bot which mirrors your input, an echo bot. So stay tuned and see you in the next class. Happy learning. Hello friends, and welcome to Run, Apply, Build. In this class, we are going to build a bot that mirrors your input. So in this section, we will be like specifically we will be developing that bot which will respond to your input with the same message. So it will repeat whatever you say to it, whatever you ask to it, right? So that means it will be an echo bot. Basically it will be named as an echo bot, right? And we will be using chat message to display the user input and an st.chat input to accept the user input, right? Okay, now we will be also using a session state. Now what is a session state? Like session state can be used to store the chat history so that we can display it in the chat message container. So as far as the session stays, as far as the user is in the same session, those messages will stay in the message window or in the message, let's say the in the message container, basically, right? So first let me think like let's think that what different components we'll be needing to develop the bot. So what we'll be needing is that, let's just comment it out and let's just type it out here. So we'll be needing, first thing is first thing we need is two chat message. Okay, so two chat message containers. Okay, now what will be these doing? So to what? To display, and to display what? Messages from the user and the bot, right? So we'll be needing these two, okay, respectively, both of us. And the second thing which we need is a chat input widget, so that the user can type in the message, right? So the second one is a chat input widget, so that for the user to enter messages, right? So that's the two things we need. And the third thing which we need is a way to store the chat history so that we can display the messages in the form of a chat app, right? So the third thing which we needing is a way to store the chat history, okay, so that we can display it in the chat message containers, right? Okay, so now so these are the requirements, right? So let's now just start, and the initial thing which we can do is we can develop and we can show what the exact application would be using, right? So let's just go ahead and start with the basic message flow and the basic code, right? So to begin with, we just need to import, right? That's a standard thing. We need to import Streamlit. So let's go ahead and import Streamlit, right? Import Streamlit as st. Okay, and the second thing which we need is we need to set the title. So let's say st dot title, and now in this let's label the bot as an echo bot, right? So this is an echo bot. This is my echo bot. It will repeat all the messages whenever I type, right? Now let's start with an if bot. So initializing the chat history. So if the messages which are there, if messages not in st dot, and we create a session state here. See, if you see here, a session state is already created in st dot session state. Then what we do is st dot session state, and here dot messages. We'll have dot messages is equals to empty. So we created an empty list here. Basically we have created an empty list here. Now let's go ahead and display the chat messages from the history on the app, like on the app rerun, basically. So when the app is rerun, for message in st dot session state dot messages, if there are, like for these messages we have with st dot chat underscore message. So this is a container which we created, right? Chat underscore message. Okay, and here we have the message. For that message we have the specific role. So here we have role, message role. Okay, and then we have st.markdown. Okay, so we'll show the content. So from that message we have the content also visible. So let's say we have content. Done. So that's the initial part. Now let's just go ahead and run this. I'm sure that there won't be any messages there here initially and there won't be anything visible, but let's just go ahead and run this app. So to begin or to run with, we have Streamlit run and then echo bot, echo underscore bot. So this app will be running on the window which was there initially. We had this window. So let's just close this. Okay, and that was there initially. Now let's just wait for the app to boot up, and once the app boots up, I'll be just moving the screen here. Yeah, if you can see now, it's displayed on the screen, and there will be echo bot displayed here. And for that I would need to, if this is there, it is asking me to upgrade. There are some announcements there, and it is asking me to pip upgrade Streamlit. There is some new version of Streamlit available and it is asking me to upgrade this, right? Okay, no worries. But if you see here, echo bot is there in the title and heading won't be displayed here. See, if you see here above, there is echo bot, right? So that was the title which we had set earlier, right? And there is, yeah, definitely there is nothing there inside. There is no content here in the bot or in the on the screen. There is no input as well because we have not yet created those. See, there is only chat message here which is stored or which is there here. We don't have a chat input yet. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start again coding or writing the code for the chat input, like for the code for the chat input, right? So now we have, if there is some prompt, so now react to the user input. In this same code will begin like to react with to the user input. So what is that? So if we have if prompt, and if that prompt has let's say st dot chat underscore input, and let's ask the user that what is up, right? And question mark, what is up? That's a question. If there is a prompt, chat input, what is up? Okay, so now we have display the user message in the chat message container. So we have with st dot chat underscore message, and to that message is given by the user. So let's store it in the user. So now with this we have st.markdown. Now that will be displayed by the prompt which was there earlier, right? So this was stored in the prompt, right? So this will be the prompt. Now let's go ahead and store this outside the with statement. So we have st.session underscore state dot messages dot, so that was a list dot, we append. And now what do we append? So to append, I have to this, I have for the append I have something which is key and value. So role was user, right? And the content, right? So the content was the prompt, right? So the content is the prompt. So let me just store that here. Now if I just run it, if I just run this, it's already running, right? So we just need to go to that window to check, right? So let me just change the screen and rerun the app. And if I rerun the application, I have the echo bot here displayed, echo bot also, and I have something here, right? So Let me just write here something. Hello. Yeah, so it just showed me from the user, this is the prompt. So the user prompt is now there available. Now, but what was our target? Our target was to have the user input repeated by the bot, right? So now that is a further code that is pending. So now let's just get started with that code as well. So now this was the prompt earlier coming from the user. Now let's write the code for the prompt coming from the bot. So now if we see, we have used an operator which is colon and equal to, right? So that operator is to assign the user input to the prompt and like variable and check if it's not. So if it's not none, right? So this will check that if it's not none in the same line itself. So if you see this, we have used this operator, right? A colon and a equal to sign, right? So now if the user has sent a message, we display the message in the chat message, okay, in the chat message container, and then append it. Now let's start with the response. So let's go ahead and we create a variable that is response is equals to, and then we have f string, and then we have echo, okay, so echo, and then the prompt here, right? So that's the prompt, okay. Now with st.chat underscore message from the assistant. Now this will be coming from the assistant. So assistant, we have from the assistant which is coming. Again, the markdown will be having the response here. So st.markdown. So markdown means it will be storing and it will be displaying it below that markdown, right? So markdown, and then we have the response stored here. So response, and then we add st dot session state messages append. Now the role changes to assistant, comma. Now the content is the response. As you can see, the prompt is already there here. Now we put the whole thing together. We have put all of them together, and there was one small thing which we didn't follow, was that this response also comes under this if statement, right? If it comes under this if statement itself. So everything goes for an indentation, and we just save this. And now let's go ahead and view that on the bot itself. So if you see here, we just have to rerun. Okay, so once we rerun, and now let's start and give it a try. So we have hello again. Okay, so echo hello, right? So echo is printed and then hello. So that is coming from the bot. So let's just go ahead and remove this and keep only the prompt here. Okay, and let's save it. If we rerun this, and also welcome to learn, apply, build, okay, and press enter. So it will prompt the same thing. It is echoing the same thing to me. So that was an echo bot basically, guys, and which is repeating whatever you speak. So if you see, it's less than 25 lines. I mean, it's not 25 lines as well. So initial lines which we had were the requirements which we had written earlier. Okay, so it's almost like 10 lines of code. Okay, and in those lines we have finished, or 10 to 20 lines of code we have finished, like an echo bot which is repeating whatever you ask or whatever you say to it, whatever you send to it, right? So that was an echo bot, guys. Now in the next class we will be using the session state, and we'll be developing a GUI chatbot with streaming also, right? So stay tuned to the next class, and happy learning. Hello friends, and welcome to Learn, Apply, Build. Here you would be getting to know how to develop an application like ChatGPT. Okay, so those guys who have already started using the APIs must be already knowing it. Okay, now this is the basic front end, or this is a basic age of OpenAI, and what you need to do to create. So in the earlier lecture, we had discussed that we need an API key to be developing an app like ChatGPT, right? So to do that, you need to go to API keys and then click on secret, create a new secret key. Now we have LLM. You can keep the name the key as anything, LLM course, okay, and then just create the key. So permissions will be restricted, read only, you can change them, right? But now that's your key. So do not press done if you don't have it copied. If you just press it, you won't be able to view it again. So copy and paste it somewhere in your code, so that as a comment, so that you can see it as and when you want, right? So that I have already pasted and saved it. Okay, so to avoid anyone using your key, what you can do is you can use it. Even if I have displayed it here, by the time this course will be visible to you, I would have already removed the key. So there's no need to worry if anyone is using your keys. But yeah, you can go to the billing section and create some uh, you can create some limits. Okay, so in the usage and in the billing section, you can create some limits of how much this is used. So that's the thing. Okay, so this was a basic understanding of how you develop or how you get the API keys. So now I have already copied the key and kept it with me. So that's for the key, and we will continue to develop the LLM app in the next class. So stay tuned and happy learning. Hello friends, now in this lecture we will be seeing how will we develop the bot using streaming, right? So the bot will be continuously running, and instead of echoing our response and the response echoing our messages, we will be asking the bot to just randomly give some or the other responses, which will be also hard coded initially, right? So we'll be needing to make some changes in the response section which we had earlier, right? So now instead of this, what we need to do is we need to make a couple of changes. So for in prompt, like we had here in prompt, and then we had the role of the user. So let's just make some modifications. Let's just copy this st.session state and paste it here, right? Okay, and then we have st dot, so removing it from here and pasting it above. That's we need one thing. And here, instead of this response here, let's just remove this response. Okay, and we have here as the message placeholder created. So the chat message by the assistant would be now, let's just remove this, and after this we have message, creating a variable message placeholder is equals to st.empty, right? st.empty, and here after this we have full response. So we have full underscore response is equals to, store that in double quotes, right? Now we also have the assistant's response here below this. So let's just remove this, and for the assistant's response we have some random choices available, right? Some fixed templates of responses available, which we will be including here, right? So we have assistant underscore response is equals to, we have random dot choice, and inside this random dot choice what we do is we pass a list here. We give a list of responses. So we have hello human, how can I help you, right? So that's the first one. After that we have hi there. Okay, and let's just continue with, is there anything I can help you with? Okay, so that's the other one. And now let's have the third one created, that is, do you need help? Some help. Okay, and let's just close this. Okay, so that's the response. Now random we will import, so we need to import the library. So let's just go ahead and import random. We'll also need to import one more library. Let's just go ahead and import, we need to import time. Okay, so now let's just continue with the code. Now we have, after this, starting a for loop, let's say we have for. So what we are doing here is simulating a stream of response, right? Like with a milliseconds delay. So let's just have a delay, and let's help the user, or let make the user believe, or make him feel that, yeah, the end user is typing something. The user at the other end is typing something and taking time to respond, right? So let's say for chunk in assistant response, dot, and then we split them, right? Split dot split, and then full response, we show the full response as full underscore response. What will be that? Plus is equals to chunk. Okay, plus what will be that? Something. Okay, there will be a space, right? And then we have time dot sleep. We make the what wait, we make the user wait, and then there will be a delay of 0.05 seconds. Okay, that's it. And then now we'll have the message placeholder with a markdown with the full response. So we have the message underscore placeholder dot, not append, we have the dot markdown with the full response, also with a, let's say, pipe symbol. So we have double quotes, and then we have a, let's just copy this from here and paste it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's the response. Now coming out of this for loop, we have the message placeholder with a full response. So we have the same thing, but this pipe won't be there here. Okay, so let's just copy this and paste it here below with only the full response. Okay, and now at the end we'll have the session state and appending the messages. So outside this and below the, within this with statement only, with, we have st, yeah, we have st dot session state, we have st dot session state, and that session state will have messages, right? So dot messages dot append. Okay, and now to this append we have again the role selected as the assistant. This will be given by the assistant, right? And the content after this, the, okay, this assistant is in double quotes. Okay, and the content of this will be the response, right? So let's have the content. Content will be full response. That's it. And we've already almost completed with the code, and let's just run it. It's already running, if I am not wrong. Yeah, it's already running. So let's just go ahead and rerun the application. I'll be switching to the second screen now. If you can see here, we rerun the app and it's already up and running. Let's just go ahead and ask it, hey, See, it's typing for you now. So that was something which was typing. Yeah, this thing which was there, the hi there. So we type. Yeah, so we have that cursor feeling which is there now. So if you see slowly, you have that word which is replying something, right, different. It is all repeating there, and these can be selected randomly as well. So let's say we have hello, and it will be there. See, hello human, how can I help you? That response is now randomly selected. So that was a bot. It's basically a bot now with session state also, and with streaming available for the demo. So we are following the streamlit.io and the Streamlit website for documentation. You can go and check it on the portal. So stay tuned, and in the next lecture we will be writing a code for developing a ChatGPT clone, basically an app like ChatGPT. But for that, we will be needing the OpenAI subscription key, OpenAI API key. So stay tuned, and the next class we will be seeing how do we get the OpenAI key first, and then we'll be starting our code. So see you in the next class, and happy learning. Hello friends, welcome to Learn, Apply, Build, and in this lecture we are going to develop an application which will be a basic same clone of ChatGPT. Okay, so before we do that, what we need to do is, like, if you remember in the previous lecture we had a key, which we had an API key which we had created, right? Now we need to store that API key, and in a code it's a best practice that we do not always keep the keys open or displayed, right? So to hide the key in a certain way, we have secrets.toml file, TOML file. Now, how to create that is, go ahead and create a folder, a directory with .streamlit. If you can see here, I've already done it. Create a directory with .streamlit, and inside that, create a secrets.toml file. With that file, save the key like this. OpenAI API key is equals to your key. Just paste that key here. Okay, wherever you had stored that key, now paste it here. Okay, and after that we are good to go and create a file, that is gpt.py, and we'll be starting with the code. So that is for you guys to initiate with the ChatGPT or GPT type application. What we need is creating a streamlit directory, .streamlit directory, and then storing a secrets.toml file there and pasting the OpenAI key there. Now let's get started with the code. So first thing we need to import is, from OpenAI we need to import OpenAI. Now there will be a catch here as well. Okay, so for some people there will be OpenAI already installed in your application, in your machine, right? It is from, not form. So that's why it's giving an error. So from OpenAI, importing OpenAI. Now you need an upgraded version of OpenAI. If you have not installed the OpenAI, then you just have to follow one command, that is pip install OpenAI. That will be done. But if you have OpenAI and if there is an issue, then you need to upgrade OpenAI using this command. That is, I'm writing it down here. It will be pip install and then OpenAI hyphen upgrade. So what will be this doing is, it will upgrade your OpenAI for you. Library will be upgraded, okay, to the latest one. Okay, so then you can use this, because this will be available from OpenAI. Import OpenAI. This importing part is available only in the upgraded OpenAI library. That's why I'm saying, right? So I've already done it, and I don't need to install it again. So let's go ahead with the app now. Now we import our basic package. Okay, sorry, we import a basic package now, that is Streamlit. So let's go ahead and import Streamlit as st. Okay, so that's Streamlit for us. Now we need to have a title. So what will be the title of our app? So let's say we have the title st dot title, and that title will be ChatGPT Clone. Let's keep it like that. ChatGPT Clone. Okay. Now, to create a client using the OpenAI, right? To create a client, we have client is equals to, and then we use the OpenAI which we already imported, that is OpenAI, and here we pass a parameter. What is a parameter? See, if you see here, there is an API key parameter which is there. So you can just write API and it will already show us API key is equals to. Now to this, where do you get this key from? You won't have to paste the key here directly. You have to import it with st.secret. Okay, st.secrets, and from that secret you just have to paste your OpenAI variable. So what is the variable here? This one, right? You have stored it in this, so just paste it here. Okay, and this will be it. Now to proceed further, now what we need is what model of GPT we will be using, right? So we have, if there is some OpenAI model being used, so OpenAI underscore model, not in, so if this model, I'm sorry, if this model is not there, we need to import some model, not in session st dot, so st dot session underscore state. So what we need is, we need to specify the model, right? So let's go ahead, st dot session state. Okay, st dot session state, and then we have the OpenAI model, as we have many, but we are selecting time for right now. We are selecting GPT 3.5 Turbo. So there are ample of them. You can go ahead and see them, which of them are available. Turbo 3.5 is which we are using. Okay. Now the next step, starting with the message. So model is now selected. Which model, which LLM model? Now for those who don't know what are LLMs, LLM is a large language model, right? So it's basically a language model which is already trained, which is pre-trained on some data, or like a past data, and then it is now knowing how to respond to some of the queries or messages, right? So we see that in the demo when we run the application. After developing the application, when we run it, we'll be actually seeing it, right? Okay, then now if we have the messages, so if, let's say, if we have messages, and if the messages not in st dot session state, okay, if the messages are not there here, what we need to do is we need to create a session state, right? Messages list, which we had done it already earlier. If you just don't recollect, then you can just revise the previous lectures. Session underscore state dot messages, right? And that is an empty list. Okay, now so for the message, if there is a message, for message in st dot session state dot messages, so we have a session state, and then to that session state there are messages. If there is a message inside messages, so what we do now, we have with st dot chat underscore message. So that chat underscore message will be having something like role and content, right? So we have two things. So this is what we are creating. So now that will have message, and the message, there will be a role selected. So what is the role? Is it the user or is it the assistant? And then we have st dot markdown. Now this will have message, and this will have the content. What content is there present? Yeah. Okay, so that's done. Let's close. Now the same thing which we have done earlier for the prompt, let's go ahead and type it again faster. So we have if prompt and then the same thing colon equals, okay, to keep checking, right? st dot chat message, or else a chat input basically from the user, right? So chat input from the user, and now this will be having what, okay, let's do this. What's up? Okay, what's up? And have a question mark. So if this is there, what we need is st dot session underscore state dot messages, and we append to this, we append the what is the role and the content, the same thing which we had done earlier. We're just repeating them. So we have role, the role is user, and after this we have content, and the content is the prompt, whatever the prompt the user has initiated or asked, right? Whatever question the user had asked, right? And now to this we have with st dot chat message from the user. So whatever the chat message is coming from the user, what do? We show that in the markdown, right? So okay, user, with this we have the colon, and now we show that in the user in the markdown, that is st dot markdown. We're showing it, right, one below the other prompt, whatever the prompt is. Okay, so that's that. Now below this prompt, what we have, let's have an this statement below. So let's keep some space here so we can see and visualize the code. So this is for creating the messages, I guess, yeah, messages list. And this is to how do you store them in the chat messages in the messages list, and then this is the prompt from the user. Now we begin with the prompt from the assistant. Now this is something which we need to follow. So with st dot chat underscore message, okay, chat underscore message, and now this is coming from the assistant. The role is assistant, so assistant, right? And we have message underscore placeholder is equals to st dot empty, and now we have the full underscore response, full response is equals to nothing. There is nothing here, right? The full response, initially there is nothing, right? So that's it. And now we have for response, for some response in, and now we have to use the chat completions library or the function, right? So we have client, and if you see here, client dot, when you do this client dot, and then you have chat. So see, you have the chat, then you have, after that you have dot, and then you will be having completions. Can you see here? Yeah, so that's there in the OpenAI library itself, and then you create. So after this you will have having create. Now what we do, you create something. So you have model is equals to st dot session underscore state, and to this you pass the OpenAI model. Okay, so we have your OpenAI underscore model. Okay, and after this we have the messages. So messages is equals to these messages, you store everything, all the messages from here. So you have the role and the content. So now we have in the form of a dictionary, you have role, and to that role you have from that n, so to that like n, and then we pass the role. So we'll be creating what m is. Wait, so we have the role and comma content will be equal to content will be equal to or will be m content, right? M and then content. See it? Okay. Now below this we have, so for what this will be, for m in st dot session. So now see that error is gone now. St dot state and then for what, st dot state dot session state dot messages. So if you see here, we'll be having messages. Yeah, we have messages. Okay, so that's done. Now we also have an option for, after this we have an option for, so this is all in the for loop itself. So we have a colon to prevent the error, and then here we have something called stream. So if you see here, stream is equals to, you can set this variable as true. Keep on streaming this, right? So we have the stream variable as true, and then you put a comma. So that was this. See, if you see here, one you selected module, the second you selected messages, and the third you selected whether stream has to be true or no. So if you keep the cursor here, you can see that what all method or what all parameters are passed in this. Yeah. So these are all done. Now to this, what you do now is you get the full response, right? So we get the full response, full underscore response is equals to, or plus is equals to, we have plus equals, first from the response we select like response dot choices, and then we have the delta content and then or something, right? So we have response dot choices. Now see, this response dot choices is also there here in the in this itself, right? For the, in the OpenAI itself, response, and then we'll have choices, and then we'll have dot, then delta. So we just go ahead and create that from a JSON format, right? And then we get the content. So the response will have that, and then or nothing, right? So this is still there inside this only, so, or nothing, empty, right? And then we have message placeholder, message underscore placeholder dot markdown will have, again, to have that full response, and then the typing or the cursor to follow with. So let's just copy and paste it here. The markdown will be shown like this, that is full response plus this, and then the last part again the same thing but without the cursor. So once the message is already typed, outside this we have the full response without the cursor being shown, right? So we are to the end of the session now, and after this we just go out of this with statement and then just show the messages, that is st dot session underscore state dot messages dot append. You don't need this, you just need to append now, dot append. So now again we have role. Now this role is from the assistant, right? So we have assistant. So as you select the assistant, Streamlit knows that you need to use the robot symbol, right? And the content is the full response. That's it. That's the full response, and that is a wrap. That is the full code for, so within, let's say, 40 lines, almost 40 lines of code to get an application like ChatGPT, a clone of ChatGPT. So now let's go ahead, save this file and run this code. So to run this, we again have Streamlit run, and then what our file name is. So we have gpt.py. So once this gets up and running, we'll be waiting for it to get running, and yeah, it's already up. So let me just now show only the screen 2, and once the app is running and we have it all, okay, so has no attribute session, so we have an error. Let's go ahead and see that error if I show you. So that's the error here, showing state. So we have messed up somewhere. So it must be showing as a line number 8. Let's go ahead and go to line number 8. If you can see here, I'll be just sharing both the screens. So if you be able to visualize, we have that error and we need to solve that. We need to debug that. So let's go ahead and check line number 8. Yeah, it's session, not session. So SESSION, and that's done. Let's save it and rerun it. Okay, so that's the ChatGPT Clone UI. Okay, let's go ahead and now run the application. Okay, so in the window now we will be able to see only the application. So let's go ahead and let's greet it first. So we say hello, and this response is not coming from the messages we had earlier, the echo bot or none other codes. It is coming from ChatGPT. So it is hello, how may I assist you? That is coming from ChatGPT. Now let's ask another question. So can I ask, write a code to calculate my age based on my birth date? Okay, so again there is an error. So let's go ahead and solve this. So we have markdown st.markdown module st. Okay, Streamlit has no attribute markdown, right? Let's see what line it is. It's line 15. So let's go ahead and modify the code here. So we'll be checking the code where the exact error is. So it's line number 15, st.mark. Oh, we had an extra e here. So now let's just save this. Okay, and let me do one thing. Let me just, okay, so if you visualize the app now again on screen 2, okay, and rerun this. Now let's just ask the question again. Write a Python code to calculate my calculate my age based on my date of birth. Okay, so it's already going and it's typing, it's showing me the code. So that's it, guys. That is a ChatGPT type application for you, and we can just play around with this and we can just see it. Okay, let's just ask, what is learn, apply, build? What is learn, apply, build? So mind you, it doesn't give information about any person, any specific person. Okay, so let's just go ahead and ask what is learn, apply, build, and it will tell you as learn, apply, build is an approach or a framework that promotes active learning and practical application of knowledge skills. So that is what we do at learn, apply, build. We ask the individuals to learn, acquire knowledge. Then the second step involves applying that knowledge, learning something from books and tutorials, applying that knowledge, and then third step is building. The more you build or the more you innovate, the more mistakes. If you see here, the mistakes we made, but we learned something and we built something out of it. So that's the basic approach we follow at learn, apply, build. And for more such courses, you can visit learn, apply, build, and you can also have the courses. You can enroll on those courses and keep learning, guys. So thank you so much. It's a wrap from my end, and from this course you must have learned what are the basic elements in the chat application which are needed, and at the end you developed at the start you developed an echo bot, a bot which replies to you whatever you ask. So it just mirrors your responses. In the response, it mirrors whatever input you have given, and at the end you were able to develop an application which was a clone of ChatGPT. So thank you so much, guys, and stay tuned for these type of courses at Learn, Apply, Build, and happy learning.